we need to stand up and have ourselves tell our own stories. To stand up and have the backbone to really stand for something that you're willing to die for.
Look up to the sky, to the brighter days. In our words there is a revolution. Soon there will no longer be pollution. Shining brighter than all the diamonds. There will be a different horizon. One day we will all come to Zion. Strong as a lion, we can be silenced. No, there's a busy answer to all of this. Even in the deep heart it exists. Why can't we just look at the love now? It's been so long, yeah. We gotta reunite, yeah.
Right. Welcome to ALKEBULAN podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matthew Smalunga, but you can call me Naftali. Go figure. Well, this is a podcast about us as Africans from the African continent getting to know ourselves and each other better. And as much as I'm here talking, this platform was solely created for all of us to learn, myself included, to learn where we come from so we can better understand where we're going. If you don't know where you're coming from, it's going to be hard for you to understand where you are and where you possibly want to see yourself going. This platform is for us to understand where we're rooted so as to understand where we are now, if we're in a good position to project ourselves clear and better to the future, or if we're lost and we need help maybe. However, we're going to find out. Me and you will find out. This episode is only a glossary of how the series of this podcast is going to go. The next episode from this one will be focusing on the name ALKEBULAN. The name ALKEBULAN is one of the names I came across when looking into African studies. One thing that fascinated me about African studies was the fact that I went on the internet to find who was talking about where we are, who we are, where we come from, where we're at. Are we safe where we're at? Are we in the best position to go ahead or to move smoothly into the future as the people we are? Funny enough, there's no one talking about it. Someone from the continent talking about what's happening in the continent or what happened in the continent. It's in most cases there's people from outside telling us about our history and where we come from and where we're possibly going and how we seem to be lost and we seem to not understand the powers we have. It got me a bit worried. Not a lot though, a bit worried, because there's a lot of our people on the ground who know the truth about us, the truth about where we come from, the truth about where we're going, the truth about where we are now and how comfortable we should be or should not be, and how the recent history we're given in basic education is a way of hiding the real history of our ancestors and our roots. You know, I mean, with this ever-changing world, we need to understand how important it is to be rooted so that when different seasons come through, you're able to weather the storm, you're able to weather the heat, the sun, every weather that comes, you're able to pull through and still stand. You know, might ruffle a few feathers, but you'll still be rooted and you'll still be standing no matter what. Where we're at now and not knowing where we come from and possibly not knowing where we're going is a very dangerous position to be in. Now, this platform, Welcome to ALKEBULAN podcast, is created for us to better understand ourselves, because we have realized that Welcome to ALKEBULAN podcast that it's going to be a bit of a problem for a lot of people to move smoothly into the future, especially with the ever-changing technology that comes with us being here in this day and age, and the risks that are posed at our lives with all these diseases coming through and the threats they pose on our lives. And we're being put under the pressure stove of fear. if you don't fear such and such, this is what's going to happen. If you don't fear such and such, this is what's going to happen. So we're always under duress. We're living in fear. We're unable to thrive. We're just trying to go day by day by day by day by day. And just to see where life takes us. No, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now, the one thing that worries me about the way we're living is our descendants, who are our future. They are more vulnerable to the war at hand, the war on drugs, the war on mental instability, the war on the content we consume. And they are slowly becoming a people who are mentally unstable to the highest level ever in the recorded history of humanity. What worries me most is they are the future, right? And I mean, elders will always have a clear mind when drugs are flooded in the streets, not to go for drugs. Might be here and there, those who are still not fully matured. However, it can't be all elders who are into drugs. But with kids, the influence is too quick and they think they still have time. They can just taste a bit and maybe later on they'll leave. And most of them find themselves hooked because the chemicals that are being used to produce these drugs are very addictive. And that's a fact. And addiction is not only through drugs. There's a lot of addictions that go on. You know, likes can be an addiction. Social media likes, social media comments, just the sound of a notification can be a problem. Now, with this ever-changing technology, we need to understand where we are, where we're from first and foremost, where we are and where we're going, and how to better project ourselves into the future. Because when I look at how different systems put in place function, it seems to me that we're being put into, basically we're controlled. Let me not beat around the bush. Basically, we're being controlled, and anyone who wants to get out of control has to have something that brings them back into this footbike of control. For the most part, you might go to jail, you might fail at school, you might go to hell, you might go to different places that seem to be a solution to when you don't want to be controlled. Now, we're moving into an age, a very dangerous age. I'm just going to mention a few things that this series is going to consist of. Welcome to ALKEBULAN podcast series. The next episode from here, as I said, is gonna be about the name ALKEBULAN, where the name comes from, how the name came about, and how the continent was later on named Africa, and where the name Africa comes from. But I'm not gonna tell you. We're gonna discuss this, because as much as I'm here talking, I'm here to learn as well. So we're gonna be in a proper discussion. You'll leave your comments, and then we'll see how we discuss it further on the following episode. Just leave your comments down below, and don't forget to do all the right things. You know what to do. You know, we live in a technological age, and it's fascinating how great things can happen through technology, and it's scary how bad and evil things can happen through technology as well. Now we need to know how to learn, or we need to learn how to know. Either way, we need to learn how to use the internet properly for the enhancement or the betterment of humanity, and for a positive advantage of humanity, to make life easier for ourselves, which is how technology got introduced to humanity in the first place. A while back, I can't say the exact year, but it was a while back. Now, we'll be discussing the name on the next episode. We'll also be in other episodes now, the glossary. This is how it's gonna go. We'll be discussing different forms of healing. We'll be discussing different types of herbs or medicinal remedies or medicines that are used to heal different types of ailments in the continent, in the mother continent. We'll also be discussing trees, like trees that bring different advantages to humanity. We'll also be discussing spirituality. Now, there are aspects into each and every category that we'll be going through. whereby we'll be talking about, in terms of healing, for example, we'll be talking about crystal healing or crystal therapy, aromatherapy, healing the body with sound, healing the body with remedies. When it comes to herbs, remedies for different ailments, we'll be discussing how the different remedies can be used for like the same remedy can be used differently towards healing different ailments, but the same remedy, just changing the form. You know, like how water changes from ice to vapor to liquid, that, but with remedies, how remedies can change forms to heal different ailments. Yeah, man, we'll be discussing a lot about how we can improve our health, ourselves, our mental health, our emotional health, and our overall well-being, and how we can better manage time with the understanding that only clocks and watches exist, not time. Not time. Because, okay, we'll discuss time and space. We'll make an episode on time and space so that we get a clear understanding on how we're locked into this jail of thinking that we know what time it is, or what time is, or how time exists in this realm. And okay, there's a lot of moving picture productions that show how time moves differently in different places, and how it ultimately doesn't necessarily mean that it exists, because right now in the mother continent might be this time that I'm here recording this video, and the same moment as I'm recording this, someone else on the other side of the world might be recording a podcast, and it might be in the AMs, right? So we're doing the same thing at the same time, but it's not the same time. So what time is it? Okay. Now we'll also be discussing, I think on the next episode, because it has to be soon. It has to be next. The fact that if you know what chess is, if you know how to play chess, even if you don't know how to play chess, but if you know the moves that each piece has, if you know how the pawn moves, if you know how the king moves, if you know how the rook moves, if you know how the bishops move, basically you know the moves of chess. And you might know that once the queen is out of the picture, chances of the loss of a queen winning are very slim. Okay, let me do it like this. If you know chess, or maybe you just understand the moves, the chess moves, how different pieces move, what movements are allowed for each piece, you would understand that once the queen is out of the game, it's almost over. Now, in real life, the queen is out of the game. It's not a game, it's real life. But the queen is out of the game. And I hope you get my point. You need to better prepare yourself for the worst. I'm not giving you fear. I'm not saying be scared, but I'm saying be better prepared. The train cannot leave you. You are the train. It's not gone. It's you. So be better prepared. I mean, look at what our electricity provider, our biggest electricity provider in the country, is doing. Now, we need to better prepare ourselves for any and everything that might come our way, that might want to deter us from becoming the best versions of ourselves. So please equip yourselves mentally. We're living in serious times. So if you're not serious about your own life, no one will be serious about your own life. So please be better prepared. What you don't know won't hurt you. That's a bunch of bull. Now, if you drink or eat poison and you don't know that it's poison, you're gonna die. If you drink acid, battery acid, and you don't know that it's battery acid, you're gonna die. So what you don't know will kill you. Get to understand who you truly are first, because the only way out is in. Let us help each other understand where we're from, and not get told by someone who's not from here, who has no descendants, or who has no ancestors, from here, and who will not have descendants here. We're busy wearing clothing that is for a foreign climate, when we need to be making clothes for ourselves, planting cotton for ourselves, planting hemp for ourselves, for our own fabrics, so that we wear clothes that are suitable for our skin under the African sun. We need to understand the power we have. We need to understand the power we possess. We need to understand that we are being put to sleep and we need to wake up. I'm only contributing to a bigger picture here. There's a lot of people who are doing the same thing that I'm doing in different parts of the world, and you're hearing this and you're still asleep. You're not doing anything about it. I'm saying we have the power, we have the numbers. If we can agree not to give our money to anyone that we don't want to give our money to, they will not get the money. They will eventually die out, and we'll have to carry the weight ourselves. It's our weight. You carry your body around every day. Why can't you carry the body of your community around every day, with each individual carrying their own weight? We can carry the whole nation. Heck, we can create our own economy. How many townships are there? Jails with small yards, while there's plenty of land out there. I won't be political, but everything is politics. Even the water we drink from our taps, when we flush, it's part of the sewage system. In your neighborhood, if you flush and it's part of the sewage system of the community or the neighborhood, it's all political. So politics can hide even in the most craziest places you'd ever think of, in the last places you'd ever think of. So we need to get ourselves on track and be serious with our own lives, lest we just watch ourselves wither into the wind and have our descendants worried that they're lost already. Once we die out, they'll be lost. We'll also do an episode on how men are under attack, specifically melanin men. Now, we're being turned into sissies. We're being turned into men who don't want to go to gym, men who don't want to strengthen their minds, men who don't want to think critically of the situations that are going around, men who just chit-chat and go and drink. And when we see each other or meet each other, everything is all good. No, we're fine, we're good. Everything is proper. I know. Yeah, zimoja, some bullshit. And we need to stand up and have ourselves tell our own story. We need to stand up and have the backbone to really stand for something that you're willing to die for. We need to be serious about our own lives. There were people who were serious about their own lives, and here we are now. We're able to speak English, we're able to hear Afrikaans, we're able to advance towards the future as better beings than we would have otherwise. If they hadn't fought and said to themselves they're gonna die fighting for a better life for themselves first, before their descendants. Now we need to be serious about our own lives so that those who are coming after us have a better life than we are. I hope I'm making proper, perfect sense. What is this? We seem to think that we're gonna live forever. And there has been, or should I rephrase this? There has been, it's not my mother. There has been generations and kingdoms and monarchs and great people in our mother continent who have lived, and they've all died out. There has been tribes. There were tribes, different tribes, clans, kingdoms, monarchs, kings and queens, who died. Maybe they thought they were going to live forever, but they died. The only people who get to live forever are the ones who had set foot forth to say, I choose life over death. They are only immortal because of their names and what they did and how they carried themselves on this earth. So you're going to be sloppy around this earth and think you're going to live forever? Well, the body's going to die, but are you going to live forever? Are your actions going to remain remembered under your name when your body is buried? Your choice. We all have choices, always have a choice, all the time. From birth, we have a choice. When you cry, when you're in need of something and you decide to cry, you know why you're crying. When that thing is given to you as a baby, no language at all. When that thing is given to you, you stop crying. You decide to stop crying because you found what you're looking for. When you need something else, you do what? You decide to do what? To cry. When you get what you've been looking for, you decide to do what? To stop crying. So we've been making decisions forever. And one of the major causes of death these days is personal decision. We'd be chilling with the brotherhood, and after discussing important factors, one might just say, hey guys, I just want to go and quickly check someone on that other street. And when they come back, they have caught something very drastic and chronic. I hope you get my point. From just a personal decision, now their lives are at risk. So we need to go back to thinking critically about the decisions we make and where we're going, because all these decisions lead to becoming a string of decisions that will lead your life into whatever or wherever you see yourself going or becoming, whoever you see yourself becoming. So we need to think critically of who we want to become, or how do we want to become the best versions of ourselves. I might just add, just towards me closing, the glossary of what the series of Welcome to ALKEBULAN podcast is going to be about. Look up the word ALKEBULAN. Just Google. We always Google, right? There's a lot of information around the name, but I need you to be prepared for the next episode so that when we come back, we're able to discuss with each other what's what. It might have different versions. It might have a version I'm going to post, and then from the one I'm going to post, we'll see on the comments how we talk about it, and then I'll make a live video for us to discuss live. One other thing that I wanted you guys to might want to look into before the next episode of us talking about ALKEBULAN is semiconductors, and look into chip manufacturing and how different companies are fighting to become the number one chip manufacturer, and what the chips do, and how semiconducting is connected with chip manufacturing companies, TSMC, ASML. You might want to look into those companies and see what is it they do and how they can possibly stop the world from going around. Not literally, but yeah, they might affect the chain. Now, in closing, I would just like to say there are ways, African ways, of helping ourselves put ourselves in a better position. There are ways of helping ourselves move smoothly into the future with different people that are put in positions of the African nation that are able to harness their own powers and actually help us put into effect ideas into prominent figures' minds that'll better put the nation in a better position to moving smoothly into the future. What I mean is, we have shamans, we have sangomas, we have traditional healers that were taught to hate, that were taught to look at as evil, that were taught to look at as a disgrace, because we're westernized, because we're twanging, because we're white. So we find ourselves having a conflict with our own selves because we're bleaching now. You want to become so white that you fight with your own self. And at the end of the day, you realize that you'll never be white. Never. And you're having these dreams that remind you that you're an African child with black parents. You're black. Well, brown, but you're black, right? Now you're constantly fighting with your emotions within, and the visions you are having and the dreams you are having and the people you are seeing in your dreams. And you're having this, your ancestors will never leave you. They'll never let you go unnoticed. Even if you were not introduced to your ancestors by your white, brown, black parents who are westernized and modernized, who no longer believe in ancestors, which they shouldn't believe in, but they should know and acknowledge that they are because they were. If it wasn't for the decisions they made, for those who came after them to decide to have those who came after them, to decide to have your great-grandparents, to decide to have, you know how the string goes until you're here. If they hadn't decided, you wouldn't be here. So just to acknowledge and to appreciate and to be grateful and to realize the miracle you are is all there is to it. Now there's ways to show your gratitude, there's ways to show your appreciation, the Bantu way. We'll discuss the knowledge of the Bantu. I'm glad and I'm grateful that you took time out of your day to listen to what I have to say and what I need us to discuss and what I need us to share with each other, what I need for us to get to acknowledge and understand and be serious about, because we need to get to that point where we see life for what it truly is and not just a game where we're here today, tomorrow will come, another tomorrow. But we've seen people die. When are we going to wake up? People have been dying for the past 2-3 years in huge numbers, but they've died before then in huge numbers still. So we put in these locations to test if we are going to kill each other, and we're given masks, but we still don't kill each other. We're given diseases, we still don't kill each other. We're given masks and load shedding, we still don't kill each other. Well, here and there, but it's not a big number they want. So I'm just hoping that we'll get to a point where we understand our position in where we're living, and we get to understand how powerful we are and the numbers that we have, and how when united we can fight through everything, every and anything. We are the largest of large nations. All these other groups are minority, and we know it, but we're scattered and they don't want us to unite. That's what's happening. We have a problem. We have a very big problem. We need to get our minds right. And with that said, I'll see you guys on the next episode of Welcome to ALKEBULAN podcast. It's been real. It's been good. It's been nice. I'm grateful to have you here. See you next time. Do all the right things, and then we'll discuss. Don't forget to check the name Welcome to ALKEBULAN. Apparently I don't know how to say goodbye. Hey, I don't want you guys to leave, man. There's just a lot to talk about. I guess I'm gonna have to let you go. See you guys next time.
Higher than your lame ass, I'm like it so hacky educate. But king ya rona ra photella where you hate. Gape ha ke di bala ka re ke phiri khale ke katetse. Ya ka zolonyo khale ke buffet. On stage see the crowd ka te ke buffet. Whether wa tlala or wa dutla tse wa